Sarah was shocked by what she saw. At first, she tried convincing herself there must be another explanation, unable to believe her mother-in-law would do something harmful to her grandchild. However, as the evidence became impossible to ignore, it became clear that her mother-in-law had hidden intentions. Welcome back to Storyscape. Before we get into today's video, take a moment to smash that like button and subscribe to our channel. Be sure to also hit that notification bell so that you won't miss out on any of our upcoming videos. When Mia was born, her parents Sarah and Christopher were extremely protective after years of trying for a baby. Wanting the best for Mia, they entrusted her care to Christopher's mother rather than strangers. However, as both Sarah and Christopher had schedules that allowed them to be with Mia most of the time, they rarely needed a babysitter. Grandma stepped in for occasional outings. As Mia grew older, the need for a sitter became infrequent. Everything seemed fine until Mia was about 3 years old. After a hectic period, Sarah and Christopher decided to have an evening to themselves, leaving Mia with Grandma. When they returned, Sarah discovered Mia's golden locks were significantly shorter. Puzzled, Sarah wondered why her mother-in-law hadn't mentioned cutting Mia's hair. The next morning, Sarah got a text from Grandma asking to babysit again, which was odd, as she was usually the one making such requests. Little did Sarah know this was just the beginning. Sarah initially explained they didn't need a sitter, but this sparked a daily barrage of messages from Judith. Feeling overwhelmed by the repeated requests, Sarah eventually gave in, as she wanted a break anyway, and she could think of nothing better than spending some quality time with her husband. The couple left Mia with her grandmother, expecting a safe night out. However, upon their return, they discovered Mia's hair was even shorter. Bewildered, Sarah wondered who was cutting Mia's hair and why. The next morning, Sarah hoped to get answers from Mia, but mentioning Grandma caused an abrupt change in the child's demeanor. Confused by Mia's sudden shift, Sarah spent days trying to understand the mystery of her daughter's hair. Mia was silent, and Sarah couldn't get anything out of Judith. Then, something unexpected happened. Judith proposed a weekend cabin getaway. Of course, she would be the one looking after Mia. However, Sarah felt uneasy about leaving her child with Judith. Growing suspicious of Judith's motives, Sarah discussed the offer with Christopher. Their conversation created tension, with Christopher accusing Sarah of making things up. Despite Sarah's concerns, she reluctantly agreed to the weekend getaway. Upon returning, Sarah was shocked to find Mia's hair even shorter. Discovering a toy truck hidden beneath the bed left her more confused. Wondering if Judith arranged playdates and why her mother-in-law's actions were so puzzling, Sarah felt at her wit's end. She couldn't shake the uncertainty about what was truly happening and desperately sought answers. Sarah faced countless sleepless nights, grappling with the uncertainty surrounding her daughter and wondering if her husband would support her against his own mother. Despite these pressing thoughts, Sarah knew she needed to focus on unraveling the situation before assigning blame. The bigger question loomed. Was her mother-in-law at fault, or was there something more sinister happening behind closed doors? As a desperate mother, Sarah sought answers and hoped to find a way out of the perplexing situation. Sarah couldn't pinpoint what was happening with her daughter's hair, considering countless scenarios. Amid her efforts, she never imagined the true reason behind the hair disappearance, unaware of how far her mother-in-law would go. Despite spending hours pondering, Sarah wondered why her mother-in-law wouldn't confess to what was happening. Was she intentionally hiding it, or was she silent just because Sarah was? Another sleepless night for Sarah as she tossed and turned, seeking a reasonable explanation for her daughter's mysterious situation. She realized catching her mother-in-law in the act was the only way to uncover the truth, but she needed her husband's help. Unsure if Christopher would be willing to assist after their recent harsh argument, Sarah pondered over her options in the days that followed. The situation was serious, and if she were to confront her mother-in-law, it had to be done carefully to avoid potential consequences. The risk was high, but without concrete evidence, convincing anyone, including her husband, seemed challenging. After much thought, Sarah realized she needed a solid plan to catch her mother-in-law in the act. Accusing Judith without evidence wasn't an option. She needed something concrete to support her suspicions. Sarah decided to be stealthy and observant, keeping her mother-in-law at arm's length while closely monitoring Mia's interactions with her grandmother. She also chose to keep her phone close to record any conversations or interactions that might be incriminating, feeling a bit guilty but prioritizing her daughter's safety. Despite Sarah's careful observation, whenever she was with Judith and her daughter, it felt like Judith deliberately acted normal, almost as if putting on a show. Sarah noticed Judith's suspicious glances, leaving her convinced that something was amiss. Confused by Judith's secrecy, Sarah wondered why her usually open mother-in-law hadn't addressed the issue directly. The mystery gnawed at Sarah, prompting her to figure out how to uncover Judith's hidden motives. Sarah faced the need to devise a plan to uncover Judith's actions. A sense of unease lingered, prompting Sarah to question if her actions were right. Uncertain if Judith was truly responsible, she considered the possibility of other children causing Mia's haircut during arranged playdates, with Judith attempting to remedy the situation by trimming it shorter. As Sarah navigated this challenging situation, she pondered the mysterious revelations awaiting her. Striving to paint her mother-in-law Judith as a good person, Sarah remained convinced of Judith's genuine concern for Mia. Despite this, secrets lurked, and Sarah wondered about the undisclosed information that held the key to Mia's haircutting incidents. As a dutiful daughter-in-law, Sarah sought reasonable explanations to avoid blaming Judith, willing to accuse anyone else to preserve the grandmother-grandchild relationship. However, as events unfolded, Sarah found herself conflicted, suppressing negative thoughts in hopes of an alternative explanation. Regardless of Sarah's efforts, the accumulating evidence became undeniable. No excuse she conjured up could ease her disbelief. Faced with undeniable facts, Sarah recognized that if her mother-in-law were innocent, she would have spoken up by now. With a heavy heart and a sense of dread, Sarah felt compelled to confront Judith about the unfolding situation. The urgency for answers outweighed the potential pain they might bring. However, she was also aware that confronting her mother-in-law could strain their relationship and create tension within the family. One Sunday afternoon, Sarah mustered the courage to invite Judith over for coffee. Seated at the kitchen table, Sarah initially tried to keep the conversation light, but soon found herself unable to contain her concerns any longer. "Judith, I need to talk to you about something important," Sarah began, her voice trembling. "I've noticed Mia's hair getting shorter whenever you babysit. I just want to understand what's going on. Did you cut her hair?" Judith looked surprised and uncomfortable, responding, "Oh, Sarah, you must be mistaken. I swear I haven't touched Mia's hair. Maybe she's doing it herself when you're not looking." As Sarah processed Judith's denial about Mia's hair, doubts lingered. Mia, being too young to cut her hair, left Sarah skeptical of Judith's explanation. The evidence pointed to Judith's involvement. Despite Judith's denial, Sarah's gut told her something was amiss. Convinced of her mother-in-law's guilt, but lacking evidence, Sarah felt the need to act swiftly. Upon reflection, Sarah realized there was no logical explanation, and her mother-in-law couldn't talk herself out of being responsible for Mia during that time. Having known Judith for 7 years, Sarah considered her the kindest person she'd ever met. Their relationship had been smooth, and Judith accepted her with open arms. However, Sarah knew she had to get to the bottom of the delicate situation. To win over her husband, Sarah realized she needed concrete proof. Despite consistently turning down Judith's offers to care for Mia, Sarah decided to give her one last chance, hoping for a logical explanation. However, a shocking surprise awaited her. Upon getting home after a dinner with her husband, her daughter's hair was completely shaved, and Judith's smirk told her everything she needed to know. Fury consumed Sarah as she demanded Judith to leave. Despite her husband's attempts to defend his mother, Sarah was resolute. For months, Sarah had to take calls from teachers about Mia's hair, her changed behavior, and missing earrings. Fed up with protecting Judith, Sarah decided it was time for revenge, determined to prove her point and gain her husband's support. Sarah started her quest by getting someone to install hidden cameras first thing in the morning. Despite Judith being ousted less than 3 days ago, she audaciously messaged Sarah, asking to babysit again. Seizing this opportunity, Sarah, wearing her best poker face, accepted and cooked up a story about needing help with a day shift. Unaware of the trap, Judith was delighted. The next day, Sarah, claiming to work, set up in a nearby coffee shop with her laptop for undisturbed focus. Suspecting the need to record, Sarah logged into the remote access board, ready to unveil the truth. Just as the device began recording the live stream, Judith's words about Mia's hair provided the answers Sarah needed. Running her fingers through the remaining patch on Mia's head, Judith expressed concern about others perceiving Mia as a girl. Mia, visibly fearful, nodded in agreement. Armed with ample evidence, Sarah promptly shared the recording with her husband. Her husband's call immediately followed. "What on earth is that?" Christopher exclaimed. Sarah, in response, revealed that her mother was currently manipulating their daughter's appearance, emphasizing the notion that having a grandchild wasn't enough for Judith. It had to be a boy or nothing. Sarah, despite her anger and hurt, took a deep breath and expressed her disbelief at Judith's actions. Firmly stating that it had to stop for Mia's well-being, Christopher's tone softened as he grasped the gravity, pledging to end it immediately. Sarah, anticipating challenges in confronting Judith, cautioned Christopher about potential manipulation. Anxious about the upcoming confrontation, she couldn't help but feel a sense of loss in the shattered trust, realizing everything had changed in her relationship with her mother-in-law. A few days later, Christopher had a serious conversation with his mother. Calm but firm, he explained that her actions were unacceptable and emphasized the emotional impact on Mia. Initially defensive, Judith denied ill intentions, but crumbled as Christopher presented evidence, including the shared recording. She admitted trying to mold Mia's appearance to fit her outdated views. While she apologized, the damage to their relationship was evident. Christopher set clear boundaries, limiting visits if autonomy wasn't respected. Prioritizing Mia's well-being, they knew rebuilding trust would be a lengthy process. Over months, Judith acknowledged her errors, attended therapy, and gradually rebuilt ties with her son's family. Though not the same, Sarah appreciated the effort, learning the importance of standing up for her child and setting clear boundaries, even with trusted individuals. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel if you have yet to do so. Be sure to also hit that notification bell if you don't want to miss out on our upcoming videos.